Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God, back with you with the next video in my Pentiment playthrough. Without further ado, returning to Pentiment. Andreas, but what about prohibiting the peasants from using the forest? That's a new restriction. Oh man, I thought we could eat that cherry pie. So Lebukin or pheasant? We'll have the pheasant next. Gurnell. The forest belongs to the abbey, and the peasants have no right to use it. Legally, it's theft. Andreas, we could say, it doesn't harm the abbey to let the townsfolk pick up sticks. Or, why bring the issue up with me then? You need to talk to the townsfolk, not me. I don't have a stake in this. Or, surely the Lord calls for a spirit of graciousness and charity, Father. Or, Camardo Cadet, Quickie Compe e Asia Vadet. Or, you're being a pedantic ass. We'll go with the middle option. Gernau. Neither is a spirit of theft Christian, Andreas. Andreas. Otto has been reading from the 12 Articles. As I hear it, the document appeals to the sovereignty God gave all mankind over the earth. Gernau. The 12 Articles? That drivel is Lutheran propaganda and defies the Church's authority to regulate the sinful and greedy nature of mankind. A shameful document for Klaus to print. Look at its effects on the townsfolk. I hear they will continue their disobedience by collecting herbs on St. John's Eve. The whole town knows I've forbidden it. The matter is grave, and I will excommunicate anyone who defies my order. You could say, you would condemn the town over something so petty? Or, that certainly creates an ultimatum, or, that's insane, or we could remain silent. Or what we will say, which is, Father Abbot, you don't have the authority to do that. The townsfolk live under the ecclesiastical jurisdiction of the Prince Bishop of Freising, not you. Gernau. Andreas, you are hardly an expert on canon law, I assure you. I will have the support of the Prince Bishop. Remaining impartial will be impossible as long as you're in town. Support me in ending this foolish rebellion. You have a reputation in town, Andreas. You're a successful man, and the townsfolk believe they are like you. I'd like you to convince the other townsfolk, the printer for example, that this uprising is not in their best interests. The rest of the town will follow, and the peasants will have no chance to resist. We can end this peacefully. Andreas, we could say, I don't want the town to come to harm. It is a precarious situation, but I understand your point of view, Father. Or, the peasants have genuine grievances. Why not talk with them and negotiate? Or, I want no part in this either way. I don't have a stake in this, and I don't want to make enemies. Or, the peasants are right, Father. You have been too harsh on them. I won't help you. Or, damn your plan, and damn you, Father. Let's go with the second one. Go now. I am a forgiving man, but Otto's stubbornness has challenged even me. Otto is past the point of talking, Andreas. That's why I'm begging you for help in the matter. Please, take more time to think about it. I apologize. We must conclude for now. Gernau, I must excuse myself. I am expected to lead a service at Compline tonight. Think on what we've discussed, Andreas. I trust you can find your way out. Andreas, I will, Father Abbot. Good night. I don't have too much love for the abbot, for sure. I have a lot of sympathy for the cause of the peasants. I think the way it's structured is really interesting. And I'll pause the action there just for a second because it's essentially, Otto represents the Protestantism and Father Gounod represents the Catholicism and the idea that even though it's a forest, it's his authority as a member of this greater body as of the church to dictate to the peasants whether they have a right to like pick for berries or look for stuff in the forest. And then of course that Lutheran teaching, Martin Luther being starting Lutheranism, the a Protestant faith, a Protestant denomination, excuse me, of Christianity, saying that no, this is God's forest, and that they in fact have a right to the stuff in the forest. I think for myself, who I would want to side with Otto, and not because I'm trying to make a statement about Protestantism or Catholicism, but because I'm sympathetic towards the fact that those peasants have increased taxes, and it's not like they're not working. They work very hard. They work very hard, and they're not idling their days. So that means that when I see them working hard, it shows me that they care, and that I feel like they deserve a chance because they're trying. But the people that aren't trying, then obviously I don't care. But the thing is, these guys are trying, and also it fits the backstory of my character. Like I've mentioned a few times, my Andreas leans Protestant because he's Dutch and he's French, and he's also now been to England, and so he's more from this area of Europe, which is leaning Protestant, and subsequently he should be, from a role-playing perspective, more likely to side with Otto and the Protestant side of this debate here. So let's keep going with the playthrough. Attilia, can we talk to Attilia? Yes, Attilia. Well. Andreas the painter. Andreas, you could either say, I'm surprised you remember me, or good to see you too, Attilia. Attilia, when did I say it was good to see you? The only reason I remember you is because you bothered me about that rat, the Baron. Anyway, no time to talk now, fancy man. It's time to call the fire. Call to the fire. Andreas, call, or does St. John's Eve mean a lot to you? Attilia, the Saint's Eve, right, hehe. Auda ans mama perta. Nos ordain quest gaud pert tu. Veve nos clamenenti. Ha 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 ha. You could say, all right, I'm going to go, or what we will say, which is, did I hear Perkta in there? Attilia, so what if you did? Did you become a hound of the Lord during your time away? Come to Tassing to sniff out the heathens and heretics? Andreas, never mind, forget I said anything, or I just don't know if you should be invoking a pagan goddess at St. John's fire. Attilia, mind your own business. Go back to your city. Leave us to our ways. Ah ha ha ha. We'll talk with Casper. Casper, Master Andreas, look at how big the bonfire is. The decorations are so fancy. Andreas, the St. John's Eve festival is a big event for Tassing. I missed it last time I was here. Haven't you ever been to a festival like this, Casper? Or the festivals in Nuremberg are much bigger. Tassing's is quite tame comparatively. We'll go with the first. Oh, excellent. Let's read this here. St. John's. The feast and celebration of St. John the Baptist, beginning at sunset on June 23rd, coincides with Midsummer's Day and the summer solstice, or Nuremberg, free imperial city of the Holy Roman Empire, major trade center, and city of arts, including printing. Casper, no. I've never seen anything like this. Can I stay at the bonfire and see the costumes? And watch them collect herbs? Master Mailer, please? Andreas, all right, but follow along, and don't get in their way. I'm too tired for the festival. I think I'll just turn in for the night. Or, no, Casper, it's late. And I don't want to risk the abbot's anger. Let's just head back and go to sleep. For the sake of being responsible, I'm gonna say no to Casper. Casper, alright, fine. Let's watch the rest of this. This bonfire is much simpler than the one in Nuremberg, but it's pretty all the same. Let's talk to Werner. Werner, Andreas, Balthazar. Salutations, Andreas. Most wonderful to see you here. Werner, I see you two have met. What do you want with an inventor? Balthazar, I make all manner of mechanical contraptions, filled with gears and levers, and other such delights. Andreas, he is a man of the mind. Why shouldn't he find interest in my work? Werner, for all the use it is. Balthazar, the mind of the inventor exists to create, to build, to go one step further. Werner, one step further toward the garbage heap. Andreas, we could either say, it makes sense you'd also be rude to your friends, Werner, or a very inspiring thought, Balthus. Balthazar, why, I thank you, master artist. Speaking of, having had the chance to look around town tonight, I imagine the sights could also be inspiring to your artistic mind. Andreas, Tassing certainly looks cheerful with the decorations and bonfire. Or, what do you mean? What do you mean? Balthazar, well, look at the peasant ingenuity on display. The bonfire itself, for example. It is built to allow the air and the heat to flow through it at great speed. And see how it roars. Andreas, it's a clever piece of construction, but Otto's a clever man. Balthazar, it's a feat almost worthy of a university degree. These people have natural traditions. They've managed to figure out many clever things without even the most cursory education. It is knowledge that hails from preceding generations, lived experience passed along the chain of time. Not quite the knowledge of a rigorously educated mind, perhaps, but nonetheless useful. Andreas, you don't need a university education to be smart, or I just don't see the use for any of it. Werner, of course you would say that. Neither of you know these people like I do. God has assigned them their place in the order of the world for good reason. Balthazar, there is some merit in learning from the peasants, even you, Werner, given their understanding of herbal remedies. Werner, their traditions are profane. Consider the Eve of St. John, tainted by their pagan rituals. It's an affront to Christ. Saint Elgius warned against precisely this nearly 1,000 years ago. Andreas, where'd this newfound piety come from? Or you're really wound up about this, aren't you? Werner, don't pretend to know anything about me. I've been on a pilgrimage to Aachen. I have visited the Marian shrine and stood in the presence of those holy relics. To be in the presence of St. John the Baptist's beheading cloth was an experience I will never forget. Andreas, I've seen the reliquary several times on my visits to Antwerp. Or, I'm glad you've had an experience. Your family must be proud, or I'm familiar, thank you. Werner, it seems to have done you little good. Perhaps you should visit again. Balthazar, now, let us keep peace in our hearts as brothers in Christ. We're here to celebrate. Andreas, I'll let you continue with your evening then. Good night. Balthazar, a very good night. Oh, and do come by my workshop, Master Miller. I would love to exchange ideas. Andres, it would be a pleasure, or if I can find the time. Balthazar, splendid. Until then. Werner, Mailer. Let's talk with Carl next. Carl, evening, Andres. Say, how do you like the bonfire? We built it nice this year, big and sturdy. Andreas, it's a fine setup, Carl. Excellent work. Or, it's not as impressive as the ones I've seen in Nuremberg. We'll go with the first. Carl, I know we can't compare to where you come from, but we still give it our all, in celebration of the light who prepared the way for our Lord. Anton, you remember Andreas Miller, the master artist? Anton, yeah, I've seen him around town. Carl, son, be polite. Anton, hello, Master Mailer. How are you? Andreas, you could say, I am well, thank you, young man. Or, fine, I guess. It hasn't been a great time back at Nuremberg. Or, now, this is a well-raised kid, does as he is told. We will go with the first. Carl, Anton's a good boy. Let me tell you, a bit of a rascal, as you can see, but he's got a good head and a good heart. Likes to hide it, though. Anton, Dad, will you stop? Carl, ha ha ha, easy to rile you up, just like your mother. Andreas, you could say, how is Helena? Is she not attending the bonfire? Or, so what do you think of the festival, Anton? Carl, she'll join us later. She went with Martha to dip their toes into the stream and to pick some flowers for the garlands and wreaths. It's important to hold the traditions. You are right, especially with the times we're having. Or, wreaths, dipping into the stream. Aren't those more pagan customs? Carl, not so, Andres. St. John the Forerunner walks the streets at night, blessing any door with a wreath on it. Anton, isn't he dead? How can he walk around at night? Andreas, that is the power God can provide for his most beloved disciples. Or, he can't. It's like a figure of speech. Carl, indeed. You keep that in mind, Anton. The saints have powers beyond us mere mortals. We honor them so they can mediate between us and the Almighty. It's why we have the feasts and celebrations. Andreas, speaking of, what do you think of the festival so far, Anton? Anton, it's fine, I guess. I like the fires when they are lit. The mountains get to twinkle like the stars. I don't like when people get drunk and rowdy as the night goes on. They get into fights and all. Andreas, you could say, what your dad keeps the trouble away, yes, or, oh, anyone in particular? Anton, well, not as much lately, but Martin used to get him into trouble. Carl, Anton's got a good eye. Martin's been a solid fellow once he came back, but he sometimes drinks too much. Anton, he's calmed down lately, you know. He used to be kind of a shit. Carl, language, boy. God doesn't look kindly on blasphemy. Anton, but those are your words, Dad. Carl, best you don't quote me. Quote the scripture instead. It's better for your soul. Andres, you will listen to your father, Anton. Anton, I will, I do, Jesus. Carl, hey, what did I just say? Don't let your mother catch you with that mouth, huh? Anton, Andres, well, I'll let you get back to the festivities now. Carl, it was a pleasure. Until later, Andres. Anton, bye. Next we'll talk with Brigitta. Brigitta, why, Martin, look who it is. Good evening, Andreas. Martin, Andreas, you're staying for the festival, I hope. Brigitta, of course he's staying. He would miss this, especially after you burly boys built such a beautiful bonfire. Martin, a burly boy like me would do anything for you, Doug. Couldn't help myself. Andreas. We could either stare at them blankly or Brigitta, Martin, you're both feeling very festive, I see. Martin, the food, the fires, the dancing, it really is a night to enjoy. Brigitta, it's to honor the anniversary of the birth of Blessed John, a vigil for he who prepared the way. Martin, yes, yes, and he'd have liked everyone to have a good mood in their hearts and good food in their bellies. Brigitta, mm, as a hermit who wandered in the desert, living off locusts and wild honey, he probably wouldn't agree. Martin, I'd like to live off some wild honey myself, if you catch my meaning. Andreas, we could either snort or, so are you going to heed Otto's call and go into the forest? Martin, no, I'm really not looking for trouble. There's enough of that going around. Andreas, you could say, right, I heard you've got a tendency to get into trouble with the drinking and brawling, or even though you supported him earlier during his speech, or, and you, Brigitte, not gathering any herbs? Martin, he speaks his mind on what's important, but like I've said, I've no personal interest to provoke the abbot. Brigitte, we are God-fearing people, Andreas. Andreas, I'm glad you're being sensitive. Or, what did you argue about with Otto anyway, when I first saw you in the meadow? Or, but Father Gano was an ass, and he deserves what's coming. Or, do drunken brawls also go under such pain? Martin, oh, nothing of note. Brigitte, Andreas, please, enough of this talk. We're here to celebrate. And Martin, I would dance until our legs begin to waver. Isn't that right? Martin, would not miss it for the world. Andreas, that's delightful. I hope you have a great evening. Brigitte, you as well, Andreas. Martin, until later. Next, let's talk with Till. Till, hello, Master Miller. Andreas, evening, Till. Enjoying the festival? Till, very much so. I perhaps feel a tad old for the more active side of the celebrations, but I enjoy the sights and sounds. Did you know the word for the summer solstice leads back the Romans? You could say, Andreas could say, I thought you didn't read Latin, or I may have heard that yet, or what we will say, which is solstitium, the sun stands still. Till, such as it looks at this time of year, the sun rises higher for a long time, then it stays there before falling again. A fitting allegory for the great cosmic arc of mankind, rise and fall. But to make up for that, dancing, leaping, songs, joy and mirth. Andreas, we could say, the Romans also had sacred celebrations for both Juno and Vesta around this time. Or, people do seem elated, although I don't think the same applies to Abbot Gurnot. Or, but can all this really keep away the decline? To gain blessings for marriage and family. Till, sometimes it seems as if the festivals are made up to cover for what the young folk get up to. We know there's no stopping them, not really. Sure couldn't stop me at that age. Andreas, young hearts are both fickle and resolute. Or I can't imagine. By this I mean I don't want to. We'll go with the first one. Till, and don't think they just always enjoy the sense of danger. Andreas, sometimes that is the best way to learn. Or the foolishness of youth, or similar to some others in town, who ought to know better by now. Till, yeah, growing up is a path across mistakes and blunders. It's why I prefer to read more rather than walk on it. Andreas, well, with the Abbey selling books from their library. Till, I hoped I could get some for myself, but it proved to be far too expensive. Klaus and his printings have spoken, have proven to be of more use and a fair bit cheaper. Andreas, have you come across any interesting tales? Or does this mean you've read the 12 articles? Till, I have. But that is not a talk to be had on this eve of celebration, Master. Andreas, you could either say, I see your point. Well, have you maybe come across any interesting tales? Or, you may be correct, I'll let you get back to it then. Till, I have indeed, Master Name. Oz, or, I didn't quite understand everything. The text was in Latin. It was by a Roman named Strabo, and it was about geography. That's why I noticed it. Andreas, the noted philosopher and historian. He was actually Greek by birth. I imagine you were reading his Geographica. Till, yes, that could have been it. The book was about many kinds of barbarians, which also included the Raeti tribe I read about years ago. The people who used to live on this very land before the Romans arrived. He called this place Ratium and described it as a cluster of daub huts, and its people, hostile and warlike, only interested in hunting and fighting. There was something about Manus and his sons, but I couldn't understand a lot of it. In any case, when the Romans came, most of these locals were driven out, but some were captured to work in the fields and the mines. Andreas, what happened to the locals who were forced out? Or what were they mining? Till, no idea. I would imagine that after the Romans were driven off, when their empire started falling apart, maybe the barbarians came back. But were they really the same people, or nomads from elsewhere? Andreas, I guess we may never know. Thank you for the quick history. I'll let you get back to the festivities. Till, enjoy yourself tonight, Master Mary. Until later. Veronica. Good evening, Andreas. Nice to see you here. Grandpa, look who it is. Ill Peter, eh? Oh, the artist. You're still around? Andreas, I thought to stay and enjoy the festivities. Ill Peter, you call this a festival? Cough. You haven't seen nothing yet. Veronica, you're not going to tell the story again, are you? Ill Peter, you kids need to learn it by heart, else Perkta will run you down. Andreas, we could say, Ill Peter, I'm not really interested in old tales or, this is about the wild hunt. Ill Peter, yes, it draws near. Come. Heed my warning. Veronica, Grandpa, you're getting agitated again. It's not good for your health. Ill Peter, nonsense. I can outlive any bastard out there. So, where was I? Andreas, we could say, I'm guessing you were about to regale me with a tale about the traditions of these mountains, or what we will say, which is the wild hunt. Wild hunt. In Germanic folklore, the wild hunt is a supernatural cavalcade of spirits and fiends which may cause destruction or potent war, and other catastrophe if not adequately appeased. The wild hunt is often led by a legendary figure such as Perkta or the devil. I want to pause for a second there and wonder, the first reference I ever had of the wild hunt was my second favorite game ever, the second best game I've ever played, Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. So I don't know if that's actually what has any reference to this stuff or not from the video game, but I thought that was pretty interesting to mention. Ill Peter, yes, did you bring your maps? Andreas, I could say, no, sorry. I didn't realize I was supposed to bring one, or I'm not really that interested in partaking in local traditions. I'll say, no, sorry. Ill Peter, pah! Put your life in danger for all out there. The masks are to protect us, as we banish the witches and spirits into Bertha's path. She punishes all humans she finds in the woods or St. John's Eve, since only witches are out in the wilderness. Anyone caught will be turned into animals. No one but a priest can then turn you back. Andreas, well, I guess I can imagine a worse punishment. Or, oh no, to be brought low, a mere beastly existence. Ill Peter, you joke, honest, but you won't be laughing when Perkta finds you. Stay indoors tonight. If you want to come outside, stay within the light of St. John's fire. At least Saint Satia blesses the herbs in the forest this night. And the women will gather the herbs, regardless of that bastard habit. Veronica, it's certainly important to stockpile some for the winter. Andreas, thank you for teaching me more about local traditions, or great story. Little Peter, cough. Hey, Big York. Big York, Little Peter, you grab some of those ashes with you after the bonfire has died down. Big York, fine. Andreas, what are the ashes for? Little Peter, it's to spread across the garden. Ensures a good harvest. Figures you city people don't know shit. Veronica, don't be like that, Grandpa. Now that story time is over, how are you enjoying the evening so far, Andreas? Andreas, I've spoken to a few other people here. Very enlightened. Or fine enough, although I'm feeling tired. Veronica, it's the best time to spend time with your friends. Have you heard anything interesting? Bill Peter? Ah, gossip. You two are like that burner in the forest. Smokey, that's the one. Always nosy about other people. Andreas, you could either ignore him. Yes, it's been fun to hear what people think about St. John's Eve. I've also been invited to dinner with the abbot. I guess the talking never stops. It'll be an interesting discussion, I'm sure. Veronica, maybe you can talk some sense into Father Gunnar. He's not making it easy for us, any of us. It's not like we're asking for much. Andreas, I'll do what I can. It's really not my place to get involved. Veronica, all we can ask. Little Peter, cough. Veronica, I guess I should keep you then. You have an important meeting to attend. Andreas, you're right. I can't keep the abbot waiting until too long. Until later. Veronica, oh, we've taken a lot of your time, haven't we? Don't forget to enjoy the night celebrations. Repeat it. And that is where we'll go and end the video there for this week. And so, with that I want to say, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. Delight to be with you all. Take care, and thanks again.